Ooh, that's bright. Hi, everybody. My name is Tara Hurst. I'm the Executive Director for the Renew Oregon Coalition. For Renew Oregon, the campaign really behind House Bill 2020. And we're here to say, you know, we got ready this morning hoping that we were coming in for a historic vote that would really encourage Oregon's economy, create over 50,000 jobs, which was an independent study that was done this session for this bill, and improve our climate and our environment. And we were here to watch the Senate pass this bill. The House has resoundingly passed it and sent it on to the Senate, and woke up really disappointed. I'm a mother of a 12-year-old, and I teach him that you have to show up for your responsibilities. Even if you don't want to play, you still got to show up on the field. And that's not what happened today. And so we had a lot of youth come down, and we are this bill is supported by hundreds, almost 1,000 businesses, farmers, and obviously over 2,000 youth in our state. And it's really broad support across the state. And we're here to ask our legislators, our senators, to come back and take a vote. It's not okay to put our kids back on the chopping block 2 times in one session. They left when it was time to talk about education, and now they're leaving when it's time to talk about clean air and clean water protections, and also an economy for our kids. So this is just completely unfair. It's not the way democracy is supposed to work. You were elected to do the job that we ask you to do, and it's time to come back to work. You shouldn't walk out on your responsibilities. We sure aren't. You've got a bunch of youth here who are on summer vacation and came down to our state capitol to watch a historic vote that some of them have been working on for 4 years. So this is completely unacceptable, and we're really disappointed. We want to be able to see our economy be kickstarted with HB 2020. We're demanding a vote on the floor, and we're asking them to come back, whether they're taking private jets out to Montana and hanging out on a ranch. We're here to do the state's business, and we're asking them to come back.
Hello everyone, my name is Yusuf Arifin, and I am a 13-year-old student that lives in Beaverton. I see no reason at all why someone would not want to support a bill on climate change, as climate change is one of the biggest issues of our time, if not the biggest. Climate change is affecting everyone around the world and here in our own state of Oregon. Here in Oregon, we're suffering droughts, wildfires, and losing a lot of our precious nature that we find so valuable here in the state. By not supporting climate change, we are not going to have the same things that we have today when we grow up. All of the kids today will be forced to live in a completely disastrous environment if Oregon does nothing on climate change. Everyone has a moral obligation to do something about climate change, and when our senators are not voting on this bill, it shows that we are going to have to face the damages in the future. Around the world, my family likes to travel, and every place we've been to in the last few years has suffered drastic changes due to climate change. When we went to Chile this spring break, all the glaciers were practically disappeared. When we went to Tanzania last year, all the rhinos were pretty much gone because they didn't have any habitat left. This is a huge issue backed by tons of science. And when we do nothing about it, we aren't going to have anything to look after in the future. It is fundamental we pass HB 2020. This will ensure our state lots of growth and protect everything we see around us. Hopefully we can pass this bill soon, and when we do that, we will remember that day as one of the most important events in climate history.
Hi everyone, my name is Edwin Fedras. I am 16 and I am from Salem. I am here today because I believe that HB 2020, or the Clean Energy Jobs Bill, is crucial to combating one of the most pressing threats to our world today, climate change. Right now, we are only beginning to feel the consequences of climate change across the world and in Oregon. In Oregon, we have seen a rise in wildfires, more droughts, and we're losing snow. So I think that HB 2020 is crucial, and we need to lead the way as a state in combating this crisis. Climate change is a threat to our world and to our way of life here in Oregon. Oregon is known for its nature, and climate change is threatening that. So Oregon must be a leader, and it is disheartening to see our senators showing that they don't care about children. This is the second time this session that they have walked out on bills that directly affect me, these people behind me, and youth all across the state. I implore them to come back and do their jobs. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mimi Castile. I'm a second-generation farmer in Oregon, in the Willamette Valley, and I'm here representing more than 220 farms, and frankly, farms around the country that believe that agriculture is the greatest potential solution in the battle against climate change. And as a leader with HB 2020, I think that Oregon has a tremendous opportunity, an economic opportunity for agriculture to be part of that solution. On my farm, we grow food for children like those standing behind me. We believe in nutrient-dense, nutritious food that protects watersheds, that sequesters carbon, and that is the future for agriculture that I believe in, and more than 220 farms in Oregon believe in. Rural here is not one voice. I also stand for the community members in my community, in my watershed, who stand behind me also and vote for what I'm doing on my farm to protect their watersheds, their soil, sequester as much carbon as we possibly can. I do not accept that people would walk out on this very important legislation and not do their jobs. When I wake up in the morning and I have a job like this morning to turn compost piles, and maybe that doesn't sound like the most glamorous thing to do with your day, I don't have the opportunity to not show up. I go home to my children every night and I sleep because I know that I'm doing everything that I can for their future. And I think that all farmers in Oregon should see the opportunity in HB 2020 for the investments that can be made right now in a future that will bring economic gains back to the farms. This is not just about gas prices. This is about the future of humanity. And so if Oregon can't be a leader in this particular case, then I don't think that we have a very strong foot to stand on, period.
Can you say your name one more time, please?
Mimi Castile.
How do you spell it?
M-I-M-I Casteel.
And where your farmer at again one more time?
My farm is called Hopewell, and it's actually in the village of Hopewell between Salem and McMinnville.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And Yusuf, you want to spell your names too?
My name is Yusuf.
Can you walk up to the microphone? Thanks a lot. You guys did a great job.
My name is Yusuf Arifin, Yusuf Arifin.
Sorry, do that one more time. I just
Yusuf Arifin, Yusuf Arifin.
And how old are you inside?
I'm 13 years old.
You're awesome.
My name is Eddie Binford Ross, EDDYBINFORD-ROSS.
Do we get any questions for any of the speakers?
Well, I mean, there's people outside, you guys are all too aware of the log truckers and stuff who say, look, I'm going to lose my entire livelihood because of this bill. What do you say to that? I mean, these are people who have families, they have to put food on the table, they have to pay their rent. And they're saying, look, I'm going to lose that. What do you say?
I'll take that first and then let these guys speak for their own futures. I would say that this is something that has been tested in multiple jurisdictions, and that has not been the case. So you've seen this happen in California, and I haven't seen a mass exodus out of California due to these policies. Their economy is actually growing. Their utility prices have been falling. And so I empathize with the fear behind it, and I do understand that, and I've seen it, and it's real. And I think it's unfortunate that the stoking of fear is how we're really playing our politics these days. But the reality is that we've seen this work in other jurisdictions. We're not trying something brand new and hoping it'll work. We have 10 years of working on this policy and to get it to this point. And we also have other states and provinces who have done it before and have seen their GDP grow, their greenhouse gases go down, and their utility bills go down. So it's just not the experience of any other jurisdiction. And although Oregon is unique and we are proud of our kind of unique stature, we probably will follow the same economic trends. And that's what the study that looked at our economy and looked at the bill saw, that this is not only going to increase our GDP over time, it's also going to increase our jobs to 50,000. So the world is changing. We are transitioning. And the question is, what can we do to make sure that we're really creating a space where the transition doesn't harm families and doesn't harm businesses? And then I'd say the other side of that question is, what do these guys deserve when it comes to what their futures are going to be? We've kind of created this problem and exacerbated this problem, and it's up to us to try and help clean it up so that they all have a future.
In those studies, what happened to truck drivers? Did it focus on what happened to these folks specifically who have been protesting?
Not to the truck drivers. I think there are some studies, and we're happy to pass them along. It did it to the whole overall economy. So it really looked at every piece of the Oregon economy. It's the BEAR study, and it looked at what's that transition going to look like, what's the impact on families. And then our legislators really did a really good job of making sure that there's protections in the bills. So utility bills won't go up, especially for low-income families, ensuring that there's money going back to folks if gas prices change. That has not been the experience again in California and Quebec, but if it is, here is some transition assistance. So, and then same with our natural gas customers. So I think that Oregon's done something that nobody else has done in the way that we've actually legislated all of these issues instead of just saving it to rulemaking. California's bill was a couple pages. Ours, as you guys know, is about 140 at this point, 120, I'm not sure, because we've been answering all the tough questions up front. And we've also learned from a lot of these groups. We've learned from the other states and what they got wrong, quite frankly, and how to change that. So I think we're standing in a really great spot where we're still able to be early enough adopters where we're making the widgets still for this new economy, and we're not just the ones taking them on and buying them from other states because they've made the investments. We're going to be making the investments in our economy.
Why not let this go before voters? Why not trust them to decide whether this is a program that Oregon should implement?
I don't think it's a matter of whether we're trusting voters. I think that it's an important, complex issue that should be done through legislation, and it can go through voters. They can repeal and this to the voters, and voters can make a decision again. So I think that this is a program that's not a 5-line question to voters, and this is something that we need to be really thoughtful on. Our legislators have been thoughtful on it and really answer the questions, that the tough questions that have been answered, especially in this session and going around the state.
There is a clause in the bill that would prevent it from going to voters, though. Do you think that is appropriate to include?
It's not a clause that prevents it from going to voters. It's just saying that it goes into law right away, so it actually just need to be repealed, and groups can repeal it and take it to the voters.
In the past, tax credits that were given to like solar companies, for example, many of those companies failed.
Yeah.
So what is there anything in this legislation to sort of improve that situation so that these investments are made in companies that have a good business plan and have a better chance of being a better investment?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of protections in the program. There's some pretty big advisory committees, and the the budget and the financials will go before the legislature for them to look into what is it that they want to, if they agree with the funding program for those 2 years. We haven't, I think with any time you start transitioning to a new economy, and I don't think any of us were here kind of from the last major transition, but we've been experiencing it in this industrial revolution or not the industrial, but the technology is as we start putting more investments into something to figure them out, the better they are and the cheaper they are. And we're at that precipice. And so, yes, there are some faulty things that have happened in the past, and I think that we just have to continue to push forward. And there's a lot of protections in this bill to ensure that Oregon's dollars are spent well. And they're not Oregon's dollars, sorry, they are actually corporations' dollars that are finally paying for the garbage that they've been putting out, and putting a dollar price on that, since I'm paying for it right now through my health care bills and my grocery bills.
Just to clarify on that point too, this money will not be invested like into a business.
Company.
It's consumers. So if you want to talk a little bit about what kind of investments we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's investments that you'll see from a broad range. I think a lot of folks have covered to kind of go to the ag side is our irrigation districts. About 11% of our irrigation districts have been upgraded and modernized, and we still have a lot of ways to go. So here's an opportunity where the federal government matches state dollars, and we just don't have the state dollars right now to really do a meaningful upgrade of our.
But what did he just say? Because you're on the microphone. He just said something that was pretty important. What did he say?
Which part?
Well, he was clarifying
That the money doesn't go directly to companies, that the money is going into project specifics and to different agencies that would then ensure that these are going to projects.
But the projects, who's going to be doing those projects?
I mean, it depends on the project, right? So the transportation, if it's a transportation project, you're going to be looking at workers, and you're going to be looking at private companies and public companies and contracting. So I think that the point is that the money isn't just going directly into tax credits. These are well thought out, well planned projects that are going forward to the legislature. They are signing off on it, and this governing and citizen advisory committee, and then moving over.
Like mass transit projects and sort of
Yeah.
goal-oriented projects?
We can have, so a lot of the great things that we've seen out of California is affordable housing being built by close to transit centers, because those are greenhouse gas reduction. It's also an opportunity for folks who can't afford to have high utility bills. You're talking about net zero affordable housing, so you're not having a utility bill, and you're also close to work centers. There was a great project that happened in a low-income housing where they put solar panels on all of the homes. One of the women reported out that her bill went from $200 to $1.50, and she was able to use that money to create curtains. And then the other side of that project is that it trained workers, and they trained her son, who had been out of work for quite a while, to be a solar tech. And so he's now installing solar panels on houses, as well as her household income has now gone up $200 a month. So this is real meaningful change, not just in kind of a larger level when you look at the irrigation districts and modernizing irrigation districts, but this is also meaningful change for households like mine and like yours and many across the state.
What are your options if the Senate does not pass this bill?
Then we'll probably need to bring something to the ballot, to the voters.
How would you go about doing that?
Collecting signatures?
Well, I mean, in terms of crafting it so that, because you talked earlier about, this being this is a complex thing. It's
We would
difficult for
probably,
voters to understand.
yeah. So I think, we're still going to work on the Senate because we know and we really believe in this program. I think that this is the most comprehensive program that we can pass, and it's the one that will have the biggest and highest impact on bringing jobs to our state and really helping stabilize the climate. There are other things in our state that are working really well. One of them is our Clean Fuels program, but we're falling behind everybody else. So I think that voters really love clean fuels and see that it's working, and the fear-mongering around the Clean Fuels program that it was going to raise gas prices by $1, and it's only been about third of a penny to a penny. We would probably like to see, we want to see that at least doubled. We'd also like to see our electricity sector go to 100% clean, along with all the other states that are doing it. So I think there are other things we can do. They're not going to have the impact that a bill like this has, where it's really impacting the full economy and growing the economy and moving it forward. We're looking at sector by sector, and these kids, my kid, doesn't have the time for us to keep trying to find the perfect answer to the climate crisis. It's an all of the above. And I don't know if you all saw, but the Pope just came out and said that carbon pricing absolutely needs to be part of our answer to climate change.
How will this bill impact gas prices over like the next year or two?
Over the next year or two, it won't impact them at all because the program starts in 2021. And again, what we've seen in California and in Quebec is that gas prices actually, when it was implemented, went down. But that's really because gas prices aren't set by state, unless it's a gas tax, set by states, right? They're set by global markets and they're set by global politics. And so you can't really point to why one price is fluctuating over another. My gas prices differ between 2 blocks between the 2 different gas stations in my on my
This will
block.
have no effect on gas prices overall?
I'm saying that we will not be able to tell what the actual impact of gas prices are, just like they haven't been able to point to it specifically in California and Quebec. And it's similar to the clean fuels debate. This is the same playbook that they've been using forever, which is your gas bills are going to go higher, the sky will fall, and what they found in California and Quebec with these similar programs is that that's not what they're experiencing. It's not gas prices going up, and it's their utility bills have fallen, and actually their air is cleaner, which is what we're going for.
Thanks everybody for coming. Is there further questions?
All right.